Imagine, if you will, the silent pain that comes not from strangers, but from the very ones who should have been your shelter, your own family. There is a sting in betrayal, but when that wound is carried out by relatives, it burns deeper than fire. For it is not merely the act itself that cuts, but the mask they wear while pretending to love you. They smile at the table, they speak blessings with their lips, but behind closed doors, their whispers carry daggers, and you are left wondering, how could those bound to me by blood become the very architects of my sorrow? The world tells us betrayal is natural, that it is woven into human frailty, but when betrayal comes from those closest to you, it feels unnatural, almost unholy. These are the ones you trusted with your heart, your secrets, your dreams, and when they cloak their envy with laughter, their malice with kindness, it feels as though you are wrestling not against flesh and blood, but against hidden shadows in your own home. Yet hear this truth: God has not turned his eyes from your pain. He has seen the schemes, the falsehoods, the laughter that mocked you in your absence. He has counted every tear that fell because of words you did not deserve and actions that left you bleeding silently. There is a time when betrayal is hidden, but there comes a season when God himself pulls back the veil. He will expose what was covered. He will most wise, he will bring into the light what was whispered in darkness. Consider the nature of God's justice. He is not swift in anger, nor careless in response. He waits, not because he forgets, but because he allows the mask to grow comfortable upon the betrayer's face. They believe they are safe, that their secrets are secure, that their duplicity will remain forever shrouded. But just when they think their hidden works are buried, God uncovers them like seeds pushing through soil. He lets the fruit of their betrayal ripen, and then in his time, he makes it visible for all to see. And when God exposes betrayal, he does so not to humiliate you, but to vindicate you. He makes clear to everyone that the pain you carried in silence was real, that the trust you gave was pure, and that the harm done against you was not unnoticed. It is his way of saying, you were right to love, you were right to trust. The fault was never yours. Have you noticed how truth has a way of surviving? Lies may thrive for a season, but they cannot endure. Betrayal may hide itself in shadows, but light always wins. Think of the stories written through history, how kings were betrayed by their closest advisors, how prophets were wounded by their own people, how even the Savior was sold by one who called him friend. Yet in every case, the betrayal was revealed, and those who betrayed were marked by their own shame. So it shall be with you. God will not let their schemes prosper. He will not allow their lies to be the final chapter. Instead, he will expose the same relatives who thought they could hide their betrayal. He will make their works plain, not through your striving, but through his perfect timing. But here lies the deeper lesson. You need not waste your strength in trying to expose them yourself. To do so would only poison your spirit. Instead, entrust the matter to God, for he alone knows how to reveal truth in such a way that no one can deny it. When he exposes, he silences every excuse, strips away every pretense, and leaves no corner for them to hide. And in that exposure, he lifts you up, showing the world that your heart remains pure, even in the midst of pain. So do not despair if betrayal is still hidden. Do not crumble if the whispers seem louder than your truth. The God who sees in secret will reward openly. He will turn your humiliation into honor, and he will make your vindication as visible as the sunrise. The very relatives who thought they had buried their treachery will one day face the weight of exposure, and you will stand, not broken, but restored. Trust this, God's justice is never late, and when he moves, The truth no man can silence will rise to the surface. God sees the hidden betrayal and will bring it into light. Betrayal by relatives is not like any other wound, for it cuts through the very fabric of trust that should have been a safe covering. You expect enemies to strike, strangers to misunderstand, outsiders to reject, but what do you do when the blow comes from your own blood? What do you do when the people who should have nurtured you, stood by you and protected you, become the very ones who plot against you in secret? It is a pain beyond description, and often you cannot even find the words to explain it to others. You smile on the outside, but inside you carry the torment of knowing that those closest to you have turned against you. And yet, there is a truth that should give you comfort. Nothing is hidden from God. The betrayal that was carefully disguised, the false smiles at family gatherings, the double-edged words that appeared kind but were dipped in venom, all of these things God has seen. Every whispered conversation against you, every manipulation that happened in silence, every dagger thrust into your reputation when you weren't there to defend yourself. God has taken note of it all. There is a reason why Scripture declares that nothing hidden will not be revealed, and nothing concealed will not be brought to light. Those words are not poetic, they are a divine law. Betrayal can masquerade as loyalty for a time, but masks grow heavy, pretenses eventually slip, and when God's appointed moment arrives, the very ones who thought they had covered their tracks will be forced to face the exposure of their actions. Think of Joseph in the Old Testament. His own brothers betrayed him, selling him into slavery and convincing their father that he was dead. They thought they had buried their betrayal forever. They thought no one would ever know. But years later, when Joseph stood as governor of Egypt, their betrayal came to light in the most undeniable way. What they had done in secrecy became a testimony of God's justice. What they intended for evil, God revealed for good. Your story is no different. The relatives who betrayed you may believe they are safe. They may even convince themselves that they were justified in what they did. But the God who sits on the throne has already recorded their actions. He has seen the tears they caused you to cry behind closed doors. He has heard the prayers you whispered at night, asking him why people you loved could hurt you so deeply. And though he has been silent, his silence is not absence. His silence is preparation. God is weaving together a moment of exposure. He does not expose too early, because exposure before its time may not achieve his full purpose. Instead, he waits until the fruit of their betrayal is fully grown, until the mask they wear is so tight that it can no longer be removed without tearing. And then he acts. In that moment, their betrayal is uncovered, not just for you to see, but for others to witness as well. God exposes so that vindication is undeniable. He exposes so that everyone knows you were innocent and their actions were corrupt. He exposes so that his justice is clear and his glory is magnified. You may not see it yet. You may feel as though their lies are stronger than your truth. But hold fast to this promise. The one who sees in secret will reveal in the open. God himself will uncover what they tried to bury. And when he does, their betrayal will no longer be your burden, but their shame. God exposes betrayal not to humiliate you, but to vindicate you. There is a difference between revenge and vindication. Revenge seeks to destroy the other, but vindication seeks to restore the innocent. God does not expose betrayal to satisfy your anger. He exposes it to heal your heart and declare before the world that you were wronged unjustly. This is why his timing is perfect and his method beyond human wisdom. So many times when betrayal comes from relatives, you are left wrestling with shame. You begin to question yourself. Was I too trusting? Did I deserve this? Was I blind to their true nature? The enemy uses betrayal not only to wound your spirit, but to confuse your identity. And because family betrayal is so personal, it is easy to carry a secret sense of blame, as if somehow their betrayal is proof of your weakness. But here is the truth. Their betrayal was never your fault. Their betrayal only revealed the condition of their heart, not the worth of yours. And when God exposes what they did, it is His way of saying to you, you were pure, you were innocent, you were right to trust. The corruption was not in you, but in them. Vindication is God's way of healing the parts of you that betrayal tried to destroy. He brings the truth into the open so that you no longer carry the silent burden of trying to prove your innocence. He makes the lies collapse under their own weight, and when the exposure comes, people begin to see what you had endured in silence. They realize that the pain you carried was not imagined, it was real. Think of how Jesus Himself was betrayed. Judas kissed Him in the garden, pretending love while delivering treachery. But God allowed that betrayal to be exposed in such a way that no one could deny the guilt of Judas or the innocence of Christ. In fact, the exposure of that betrayal was the very thing that revealed Christ's identity to the world. Betrayal uncovered Him as the Savior, the spotless Lamb of God. The same principle applies to you. The exposure of your relative's betrayal will not diminish you. It will reveal you. This is why you must not spend your energy trying to force exposure yourself. When you attempt to reveal their wrongdoing in your own strength, you risk looking bitter, defensive, or unstable. But when God exposes, no one can question it. When God exposes, the truth becomes so undeniable that even those who wanted to believe lies are silenced. God's vindication does what human striving never could. And when vindication comes, it brings healing. You begin to breathe again. You realize you are not foolish for loving, you are not weak for trusting, and you are not naive for giving your heart. The exposure becomes proof that your character was true all along, and suddenly the shame you carried turns into honor, because God Himself has declared your innocence before others. So let your heart rest. Do not carry the heavy weight of trying to prove what only God can prove. You do not need to shout your innocence to the rooftops. You do not need to argue with relatives or defend yourself before every false word. Your silence becomes your strength, because you know the day is coming when God Himself will expose, and when He does, you will be vindicated, not humiliated, but lifted, restored and proven before all. Lies may thrive for a season, but they cannot endure. The most painful part of betrayal is the illusion that lies seem stronger than truth. For a time it looks as if deception wins. Your relatives may weave their narratives so skillfully that others believe them. They may paint themselves as victims while casting you as the wrongdoer. They may smile in public and whisper against you in private. And while their lies appear to flourish, you sit in silence, wounded by the injustice, wondering if truth will ever break through. But here is what you must remember. Lies are like fragile shadows. They stretch long and appear intimidating, but when the light grows stronger, they vanish. Deception cannot last forever, because truth has a living power that cannot be extinguished. It may be buried for a time, but truth has the same nature as seed. It pushes through the soil, breaking past every attempt to cover it, until it stands tall for all to see. Consider how history itself testifies to this principle. Every empire built on lies eventually collapsed. Every false testimony eventually fell apart. Even in Scripture we see this law repeated again and again. Haman built gallows to hang Mordecai, but the truth of his schemes was revealed, and he himself was destroyed by the very weapon he prepared. Daniel's enemies plotted in secret, convincing a king to throw him into a den of lions. For a night it seemed their lies had triumphed, but by morning truth stood vindicated. Daniel walked out untouched, and the liars were cast into the very pit they had dug. So it is with family betrayal. Relatives may conspire against you, and their lies may enjoy a brief season of acceptance. But the nature of lies is that they unravel. They cannot hold under the weight of time. They cannot withstand the fire of God's presence, and they cannot override the fact that God Himself is truth. When you are tempted to despair, remember that even silence has power. You do not need to run from person to person, desperately trying to prove yourself. Your life will preach louder than their lies. Your consistency, your integrity, your unshaken faith will speak long after their words are forgotten. And while they hide behind deception, their conscience will torment them in the quiet of the night. For the guilty know the truth, even when they deny it publicly. God has a way of orchestrating circumstances so that truth cannot be denied. Sometimes it comes suddenly, like lightning striking through the darkness. Other times it comes gradually, like dawn breaking after a long night. But it always comes, and when it does, those who believed the lies will be forced to see what was hidden all along. You must hold on to this assurance. Truth is not fragile, lies are. Truth is not temporary, lies are. Truth has eternal weight because it flows from the very character of God. Lies can make noise, but they cannot endure. Betrayal can wound, but it cannot rewrite reality. And the day will come when God Himself will use the fragility of lies to glorify His strength in your life. God allows betrayal to ripen before exposure. It is one of the hardest mysteries of life to understand. Why does God wait? Why doesn't He expose the betrayal the moment it happens? Why does He allow relatives to smile to your face while stabbing you in the back, without immediately pulling off their mask? Why let the pain linger? Why not cut short their schemes before they grow? The answer lies in God's perfect wisdom. He does not simply deal with the surface of betrayal. He deals with the roots. Exposure too early may satisfy your desire for justice, but it would not accomplish His greater purpose. Instead, God allows the betrayal to ripen, to grow to its fullness, so that when He exposes it, the truth is undeniable and the justice is complete. Think of fruit on a tree. If you pick it too early, it is sour, unfinished, incomplete. But when fruit is left to ripen, it reveals its true nature. So it is with betrayal. When God allows your relatives to continue their hidden schemes, it is not because He is blind. It is because He is letting their actions reach the fullness of exposure. Their lies, their jealousy, their manipulation, all of it is being allowed to mature until the moment comes when God reveals it in a way no one can contest. This is why the psalmist could say, "I have seen the wicked spreading themselves like a green bay tree, yet they passed away, and lo, they were not." Wickedness often looks strong in the beginning. It seems to flourish. It appears untouchable, but its strength is only borrowed time. God lets it stand for a season so that its fall is greater and its exposure complete. Think again of Joseph. God could have stopped his brothers before they threw him in the pit. He could have prevented the betrayal before it even unfolded, but He allowed it to ripen. Years later, when Joseph stood in power, their betrayal was exposed in the clearest way possible. Had God stopped it early, Joseph's destiny would not have been fulfilled, and the full weight of their betrayal would never have been revealed. This is also true for you. The betrayal you endured has been permitted to unfold, not because God is indifferent, but because He is preparing a moment of undeniable vindication. If he exposed too soon, people might argue. They might defend your betrayers. They might dismiss the truth. But by letting it ripen, God ensures that when the moment comes, their actions stand inescapable, their guilt undeniable, their hypocrisy revealed. The waiting is painful, yes. It feels like silence from heaven. It feels like abandonment. But in reality, it is preparation. God is setting the stage. He is gathering the evidence. He is aligning the right moment when your vindication will be as bright as the sun at noon. And when it happens, you will understand why he allowed the betrayal to ripen, because exposure before its time would not have carried the same power, but exposure at his time leaves no room for denial. When God exposes betrayal, he lifts you, not to shame you, but to honor you. Exposure is never random. When God chooses to pull back the curtain on hidden betrayal, he does it with a purpose greater than our understanding. Many think exposure is about revenge, about humiliating the wrongdoer, but it is not. It is about restoring the dignity of the one who was betrayed. It is about raising up the one who carried pain in silence, who endured without fighting back, who chose to hold on to their character instead of retaliating in anger. You see, betrayal not only wounds your heart, it threatens to steal your identity. It whispers lies to you in the night, saying, "You were foolish for trusting, you were weak for loving, you were naive for giving so much of yourself." And if you are not careful, you begin to carry shame that was never yours to bear. This is why God's act of exposing betrayal is not just about revealing what others did. It is about declaring who you truly are. He shows the world your innocence. He shows them that your trust was not a weakness but a strength. He shows them that you were right to love, and the fault lay not in your heart but in theirs. Think of Job. His suffering was misunderstood even by those closest to him. His friends accused him, his wife questioned him, his community mocked him. They believed the false narrative that his suffering was the result of his own failure. But when God moved, he not only restored Job, but made sure that those very people saw Job lifted and honored. God vindicated him publicly, so that everyone who had misunderstood him was left in awe of his power and Job's integrity. In the same way, when your relatives betrayed you, many may have believed them. Some may have doubted you, others may have questioned your character. But when God exposes the betrayal, he does so in a way that leaves no doubt about your integrity. He places honor upon your life in such a visible way that those who once questioned you are forced to recognize the truth. The very ones who whispered against you will see God raise you higher, and in doing so he turns the shame you carried into a crown of honor. This is why you must resist the urge to fight for your own vindication. If you try to expose them yourself, it will look like bitterness. If you try to force people to see the truth, it may only make them question you more. But when God does it, he does it so perfectly that no one can argue. His hand silences every tongue. His justice leaves no room for defense. And his exposure not only reveals the darkness of others, but illuminates the purity of your spirit. God's way of vindicating you is to honor you. He makes your life a testimony, a living example that you were not abandoned, forgotten, or destroyed. He brings opportunities, blessings, and favor that elevate you above the reach of those who tried to harm you. And when that happens, people will no longer remember you for the betrayal you suffered, but for the victory God gave you. They will not see you as a victim, but as one who was chosen, strengthened, and lifted by God himself. You do not need to expose them. God himself will uncover their betrayal. When betrayal comes, the most natural response is the desire to prove yourself. You want others to know what really happened. You want to defend your name, to protect your reputation, to make sure no one believes the lies. But here is the danger. In trying to defend yourself, you can lose your peace. You begin to exhaust your energy in arguments, explanations, and endless attempts to control what others think, and no matter how much you try, it never seems to be enough. Some people will believe what they want to believe, and others will pretend not to see the truth. But God has not asked you to carry that burden. He has not asked you to spend your life trying to convince others of your innocence. He has only asked you to trust Him. Because when God exposes betrayal, He does it in a way that requires no explanation from you. He uncovers what was hidden. He brings forth the evidence no one can deny. He reveals the motives that were concealed beneath false words. And when He does, your silence becomes your greatest strength. Think of David. Saul pursued him with lies, accusing him, turning people against him, painting him as a threat to the kingdom. David could have fought back, spreading his own narrative, trying to clear his name, but instead he waited on God. He refused to touch Saul, even when he had the chance. And what happened? In God's timing, Saul's corruption was exposed, and David was vindicated. Not by his own striving, but by God's hand. The same principle applies to you. The more you try to fight in your own strength, the more drained you become. But the more you rest in God, the more He works on your behalf. He does not need your arguments. He does not need your explanations. He needs only your trust. There is a power in silence. When you stop defending yourself, you give God space to move. When you refuse to lower yourself to their level, you show the depth of your character. And while others are watching to see if you will retaliate, your refusal to engage becomes a testimony of your faith. People notice when you don't respond in kind. They notice when you remain calm in the face of lies. And when God finally exposes the betrayal, everyone remembers that you never tried to force it. You simply waited. That waiting will make your vindication all the more powerful. So let go of the need to be heard by everyone. You do not need to shout your innocence to the world. You do not need to chase every rumor or defend yourself against every whisper. You do not need to spend sleepless nights crafting explanations for those who doubted you. All you need to do is stand still and trust that God will do what He promised. He will expose, He will vindicate, and He will restore. The exposure God brings is undeniable. It is not partial. It is not incomplete. When He reveals the truth, it shines so brightly that no one can deny it. Even those who tried to ignore the truth will be forced to admit it. And when that happens, you will not have to say a word. The truth will speak louder than you ever could. God's justice is never late. And when He exposes betrayal, it becomes undeniable. There is something in us that longs for immediate justice. When we are wronged, especially by those we love, we want to see it corrected now. We want God to act quickly, to silence the lies, to punish the betrayal, to restore our name instantly. And when that doesn't happen, it is easy to wonder if justice will ever come. But the truth is this: God's justice is never late. It may not align with our timing, but it always arrives at the perfect moment, accomplishing far more than we could imagine. God does not operate on our impatience. He operates on His wisdom. What looks like delay to you is often preparation in His eyes. He waits because He knows the right moment to act, the moment when exposure will not just reveal the betrayal, but also bring restoration, healing, and honor to your life. If He moved too soon, the depth of the betrayal would not be clear, and your vindication would not carry the same weight. But when He moves at the appointed time, His justice speaks louder than any accusation, silences every false word, and restores what betrayal tried to destroy. Think about how the seasons of nature work. Spring does not rush. Summer does not arrive early. Autumn does not fall behind. Winter does not skip its turn. Every season arrives exactly when it is meant to, and nothing can alter its timing. In the same way, God's justice comes in its season. Just as you cannot force the sun to rise before dawn, you cannot force God to reveal betrayal before his appointed time. But just as surely as the sun rises, so too will justice arrive. And when it does, there will be no confusion. God's exposure is undeniable. It is not half-truths or partial revelations. It is complete, clear, and powerful. He reveals what was hidden in such a way that even those who refuse to believe the truth will be forced to acknowledge it. The relatives who thought they could bury their betrayal will find themselves unable to escape the weight of exposure. The masks they wore will fall. The lies they told will crumble, and the shame they tried to project onto you will return to them. But more than that, when God exposes, he simultaneously lifts you. He does not just bring judgment upon those who wronged you, he brings restoration upon you. The same people who doubted you will see the favor of God resting on your life. The same relatives who betrayed you will watch as God honors you before their eyes. And in that moment, you will know that his justice was not late at all. It was perfectly on time. So hold fast. Do not be discouraged by what looks like delay. Do not believe the lie that God has forgotten. His justice is alive, moving and preparing, and when it comes, it will be undeniable. The relatives who hid their betrayal will be exposed, and you will stand not as a victim, but as a testimony of God's unfailing faithfulness. My friend, betrayal in the family is one of the deepest wounds a soul can endure. It is not just an attack against your reputation, it is an attack against your heart. But hear this clearly. You are not forgotten, and you are not abandoned. God has seen every hidden word, every false smile, every act of treachery carried out against you. Though it seems concealed, nothing escapes his eyes. He allows the betrayal to unfold so that its fruit ripens, and when the time is right, he himself will expose it. And when he does, it will not be to humiliate you, it will be to vindicate you. Your innocence will be made plain, your faith will be rewarded, your tears will be remembered, and those who mocked your pain will witness the justice of God with their own eyes. Do not waste your strength trying to fight this battle on your own. Do not wear yourself down trying to prove what only God can prove. Leave it in his hands, for his justice is perfect, and his timing is unfailing. The same relatives who betrayed you will not escape the light of truth. The very lies that sought to bury you will be the soil from which God raises you higher. So walk with courage, carry your head high, and know this: the day is coming when God will expose the betrayal, silence every lie, and lift you into the place he has prepared for you. The same family who thought they had hidden their treachery will one day see you honored, restored, and blessed beyond recognition. God will not let betrayal have the last word. His justice will, and when he speaks, the whole world will know that you were his chosen one all along.